Stephanie, welcome back to Changing Scripts. Okay, I've gotten pretty goofy lately. I had a lot of fun in Taipei. Exhibit A, how cute is Print Club? I don't think it's called that in Taiwan, but I mean, goofiness galore, right? Love it. It was really, really fun. And August, work-wise, as you've heard me say a million times, was really, really intense. Coffee. Okay, maybe I should turn that around so you don't get the butt of my monkey. There you go. How cute. I can't... I've lived in Asia too long to resist and to dislike the cuteness of the things available. So I embrace it. Alright. My point is, I had a lot of fun in Taipei, and I had a lot of fun comparing the simplified and traditional characters. I had a lot of fun realizing how much overlap, even with the tiny vocabulary that I have, exists between the two, because that means once I can read actual sentences, that there will be a lot more than just newspapers in mainland China that I can read, which is really, really exciting, because that explodes an entire a few different places of other viewpoints that I can read about, which is part of the reason I find as I get older I want to read more current events. As crazy as they are right now, I want to read more current events and more like real life things that are happening in the world, and that's part of the motivation. That's a huge part of the motivation of why I want to be able to read in a different language, thus the title of this channel, which I will at some point change on the YouTube channel, Google permitting, of Changing Scripts, because it's not just changing the script from, let's see, it's Roman numerals and Arabic letters, right? Am I getting that wrong? Arabic numerals and the letters that we use for English that are used for a lot of Romance languages as well. I am, for some reason, at 9:24 in the morning on a random Tuesday afternoon forgetting what those are called. Forgive me. But whatever those are called, it's not just going from that in English to the Hanzi characters in Chinese. It's a much bigger shift, and that bigger shift is the carrot at the end of the journey, and not even at the end, because I'm never going to get native in this language. That is not the goal. The goal is to be able to read in it and see the viewpoints that are happening within that language that are not being translated, not for any flawed reasons or any reasons that are anybody's fault, but just there are things attached to language that are really hard to translate into other languages, and I would like, for once, to be able to read things in their original language. I know this is a long-term goal. I have no delusions that I'm going to be able to read newspapers in the next few months or years. I'm hoping, depending on how much time I can devote to study in the next few months, I'm hoping about a year in I can read titles better. And time after time, thank you Cyndi Lauper for that song. Oh, cute. Anyway, and I hope within a year from that I can get better at getting the gist of newspaper articles and get a bit of an idea of the nuances that y'all are commenting on about newspaper writing and specific grammar structures for specific tones and specific this and specific that. One of the things I used to do when I was teaching language is I really, really focused on genre. When I was teaching writing especially, is I was focused on genre. Because genre of the writing really, 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 and I don't need to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this, really, really determines how you write things. And so when, and I apologize, I forget everything at 9:27 in the morning, but somebody mentioned the specific way that newspapers are written in Chinese and how difficult that can be to build up to that level, because it's not just vocabulary, it's not just grammar, there's a lot of nuances to it, and that actually really excites me, because it does that vary from newspaper to newspaper, from writer to writer, from simplified to traditional characters. Those are interesting nuances that I think will keep me motivated once I reach the intermediate plateau, which I dream about on a daily basis. Reaching the intermediate plateau I will probably be the only person in the history of language learning to be excited to plateau. Let me tell you. And can I just say, we've lived here, got back in January, moved into this apartment the last few days of January this year. It's now September 5th, I think. Should I check? Sorry, checking the date. I don't know what date it is because I don't work today, but I'm traveling to Hangzhou to go to work tomorrow, which takes it, okay, train time and taxis included. It's probably a 2-hour trip. Okay, my internet does not want to start. But that's the only work thing I have to do today, which is why I'm sitting here at 9:30 in the morning with my coffee cup. I really shouldn't hold it. My wrists are still crazy, which is the goal of this video was meant to make a goal video. And somehow I've gotten sidetracked, but in a way that I think is important. Okay, what is today's date? Everything's important. Because I need to refocus after my vacation, after the month of really intense work. I'm in October because we were planning our vacation, which is super exciting. Today is the 5th, September 5th. I'm in Shanghai right now, but I'm going to Hangzhou later. Point being, I'm excited about that intermediate plateau and all the reading of newspapers to come in the future. And sometimes I have found in the past that my ability to think in long-term goals has stopped me from the immediate goals. And part of this channel, in addition to sharing my madness and severe interest in language learning, is in keeping on track now and keeping going now. Because if I keep going now, just no matter how long it takes me, if I keep going, I will eventually hit that goal. Will it happen on the time frame that I initially thought? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Will it happen on the time frame that you think I might get there? Probably not. We all don't know. We don't know what's happening and what will happen from a daily basis. But the one thing that I have learned from listening to tons of polyglots via YouTube over the past few months is that just keep going. One foot in front of the other. Oh my God, do you remember that? What is that? Is that the Abominable Snowman Christmas special or something? Where there's this horrible song. It's not horrible, it's actually really cute. What am I saying? Where you put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door. That's how I feel about language learning right now. It is not how I felt before. I felt that if I didn't get there in a certain amount of time, or if I couldn't express myself precisely at any given moment, that I would just be really frustrated, which goes completely against my ability to mime my way through really bizarre situations and be able to draw and be able to pick up on words that I don't know the meaning, but I think is the meaning because of the context. What else could they be saying to me? I mean, there's weird non-linguistic cultural things that I can maneuver through that make no sense why I'm able to do them. And yet, when I do try to learn a language, all of that patience and fun goes away, or at least it did until this experience. And there's still ups and downs and frustrations, and you've seen all of you haven't seen all of it, but you've seen a lot of it. So just put one foot in front of the other. Put one Hansa in front of the other, and soon I'll be reading sentences. I'm so sorry to put you through my voice. Okay. The point is, the month of work I tried to push through. I tried to do the morning study challenge, and I tried to do all kinds of things. And something happened after 3 weeks of going full throttle with work and doing the morning study, and I fell off learning completely. Now, completely. Keep in mind, I'm still practicing pronunciation with work every day on a name-by-name basis. That's all I can say about that, sorry. So there's that. I do see characters everywhere, every day. There's that. I did fall off of Twitter and Instagram and all of that, so I cannot claim that I'm getting that input. However, I do literally see characters all the time. So there's that. So it wasn't a complete drop-off. Like if I was in my home country and I stopped studying Chinese, I would get no input. But that didn't happen. I did try to listen to some music. I'm experimenting with QQ music, so I'm trying to get some music input. I love music, so I was trying to get some of that. It didn't do much of it. So I've fallen off a lot of the, what was it, the 3 or 4 things? I think I had 3 things that I wanted to do during morning study, and I was really diligent for a few weeks. I got really exhausted between the work and doing that in the morning, and then my brain, and it fell out. And that's fine. Taking a break is part of the process. You don't have to be full on all the time. But what I need to do now is I need to get my ass up, and I need to start working again consciously. So it was really fun last week in Taipei to play with the language, but now I need to consciously get back to studying the language. And I am damn near terrified right now because today is September 5th. This Saturday is the 9th. I'm looking at a calendar right now. And then 2 weeks after that is the Language Con conference. So in addition to getting back to studying, and actually that's a big one. Getting back to studying, it's a big one. I also need to prepare the conference stuff, and I'm obsessive about presentations. I love presenting, if you haven't noticed. Although it's presenting for me in front of a group of people is a much more organized, rehearsed process. This, I turn it on and I lose all focus and I just talk anyway. Why does my monkey not have a tail? Just saying. Okay, if you're ever in Shanghai or in China, or actually I think this might be a Korean brand, Zoo Coffee, skip the food, get a drink, probably like a fruit juice or some sort of fruity or iced tea drink, or the coffee's okay, but mostly sit in Zoo Coffee. It's a really cute stuffed animal themed, wild stuffed animal themed, there we go, cafe in, I think it might be Korea. Was that? I don't know. But if you're in China, they're here. If you're in Shanghai, they're definitely here. I have seen them in other cities as well in China. Okay. Diversion. So I have to get back on track. And this is, I'm not taking my computer with me to work this week. And I'll be away today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'll come back Friday night. If I had a longer train trip than 50 minutes, I probably would, but I don't. So I'm going to save my wrists and work on 2 things, and this is terrifying. First of all, thank you to Maylene for recommending the reading literacy in Chinese. I don't know how far I'm going to get with this right now because I'm still working on the Sensible Chinese course. However, I do have time periods where I don't have a computer in front of me and I do have the ability to read stuff, so that's when I'm going to start digging into this. So I'm going to slowly but slowly start looking at this. I'm super excited. If you remember, let me see if I can get it. Sorry, I'm going to go off camera for a second. One of my obsessively favorite things from the first few weeks, I didn't go off camera, I just got awkwardly sideways. Oh well. Anyway, was the Most Common Radicals book, and it's by the same gentleman, Zhang Peng. And so when I was in the bookstore yesterday, because I specifically went to the bookstore, it crushes me to go to a bookstore street that has tons of stationery and paper products and books and maps and things, and to just get one thing. But I was so determined after, and I think, Maylene, I think you mentioned this book, the literacy book, months and months ago, but I wasn't ready to hear it yet. So when you commented recently, it clicked, and I said, oh gosh, she said that before, and I think I'm ready to go more than individual radicals. I think I'm craving going in bigger chunks, reading in bigger chunks. I'm ready to read because I want to read, to do my goal now so I can get to my goal later. Whereas in the beginning I was so overwhelmed by the characters that I couldn't imagine, by the radicals and the characters and the strokes, that I couldn't imagine being here. But a few months in, I finally feel like I can handle my deer in headlights moment with the Hanzi characters has, I can't say gone, but really, 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 really diminished. So I feel like I can handle trying some of this. And I'll do some videos on this once I start that. I also got the intensive spoken Chinese one, and I don't foresee getting to this for months and months, but since I was in the bookstore. And these are like 30 kwai, 40 kwai each, which is less than, oh, this one was $45, which is maybe $6. And the Rapid Literacy one was $39, which is closer to $5. So they're really, really affordable. And that's just me throwing the book down because I have no space on this table. And the Common Radicals one, which I still look at, it's still awesome, was $27, which is less than $4. It's amazing. And the way all of these books are broken down, and why I'm excited it was by the same gentleman, is because they're broken down in a really, really, really logical, clear way. The format is always really good. This new one, I want to do a preview of this. I just want to say that this is one of the 2 things I'm going to be looking at when I'm away for work this week. The second thing, this is my messy notes for my presentation, which I wrote when I first got accepted to the conference. But I haven't looked at since, so I need to start working on that. I'm going to do it on paper first, and then I'm going to do my slides, and then I'm going to stress about learning a video editing program, because I need to. I'm assuming if I'm doing a presentation on YouTube video language learning, that I need to have some clips from the now 100 videos that I've made. And I look a little sad right now because 100 videos. Clearly, I'm not going to rewatch all the videos and pick out clips, so I'm going to try to brainstorm important moments. And if a clip comes to me, I'm going to then go to the video next week and pull out a few seconds from that and put it in there. And I imagine for an hour-long presentation, I don't think I need that many clips. It does need to be more presenting and interacting with the audience than showing the clips. They can go to this channel later, right? And how meta would it be if they then came to this video and saw that I was talking about them weeks before, 2.5 weeks before the presentation. So my nervousness with preparing for the presentation while trying to get back into a language learning routine is not for the presentation. The presentation itself is going to be really fun. Once presentations start, I get this surge of energy and my complete ham-like, entertainerish kind of ability takes over, and I just cannot be stopped. Which is why group presentations suck for me, because I have to remember there are other people presenting and I have to be a responsible human being and share the experience with them. I'm an awful person. Can I just say I'm sorry to every person I've ever had to group present with? I know, especially in my 20s, I was probably a nightmare to work with because of that. I take over. I have a really hard time not being being in front of people doing something presentation like and not being on. It's very, very hard for me. And in practices, it doesn't come out until there's an audience. So when we practice, my partners do not see that side of me, and they see it when the audience sees it. And I can imagine it kind of comes across as a shock, like, who are you? Where were you during practice? You're not your daily life self. I've known you for months, and you've never acted like this. It's very bizarre. Anyway, I need to get a language learning plan down that I can do without hurting my wrists further. It's just the beginning of carpal tunnel. I say really blowing it off, but I'm not blowing it off. I'm taking it seriously, and I'm spending a lot less time online, which is torture. I'm obviously using my tripod right now because I'm not holding up my phone. So I'm trying to use devices when I'm in coffee shops. I'm using my phone to hold up, I'm using my purse to hold up my phone so I can see the screen. I'm trying not to do a lot online. We were looking for plane tickets last night and the pain started, and I had to basically push my computer away and look over my husband's shoulder as we were looking for plane tickets, which was torture because I really like the process of buying plane tickets for vacation. So I'm doing responsible things to get my wrists to come back to normal, but I have to include that in my language learning. For example, I'm still working on my 214 Anki radical deck, but I can't really do that with my wrists in their current state. So I might very well not finish that deck before the conference, which was kind of my goal. I wanted to have that complete to show and to use, because I really like using it. I really want all of the radicals in there. So that will just have to wait. Because I'm not going to torture my wrists I don't want surgery. Ugh. Reading about carpal tunnel online is a nightmare. Don't do it. Don't read. Don't read any medical stuff online. Okay, look, I have to focus. So I have to do something language learning wise that is daily, that is something I can check off, whether it be do this for a certain time or do this. That's probably the most logical way to do it, is to do something for a certain amount of time. Or for the Sensible Chinese course that I'm taking, do so many videos a day. Or I could go back to my language learning flashcard video and I could play that once a day. I could probably get one of those pens and do like my pronunciation practice and stuff like that instead of using my finger, and definitely not holding my mobile phone, so I can probably do that. But I need to come up with a plan again, just like I did for the morning study when I had 3 things I wanted to do every day. Having those 3 things, knowing I wanted to do them, really made it easy to do it. I just burnt out because of other reasons. So I need to make that plan. So my goal, it's about 9:44 right now, and it's getting way too hot, so I need to turn on the AC, so I'm going to go off camera again. It was really cool. It was like in the low 20s for a few days in Shanghai, and then it just went back up again. This fall should come any moment now, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a very hot summer. It was in the 40s, which if you're in Fahrenheit land, which is where half my brain is, that's over 100 degrees. Bleh. All right, I need a plan. So I'm going to spend the next, I'm trying to think, I need to be on a train, I need to be out of here. Okay, I'm going to spend the next hour, and I'm going to put my kitchen timer on. I'm going to spend the next hour studying, see how many quantifiable things that I do, whether it be time-wise or task-wise, and I'm going to come back, and you'll see in this one video what I've decided I'm going to do at least for the next week. So I need at least a plan for the next week, probably the next, let's say 3 weeks. I need a plan for the next 3 weeks on, let's stick to 3 tangible things I can do every day that don't hurt my wrists and that, that challenge but don't overwhelm my language learning and that progress me in a way where I feel like I'm learning something. 3 things that I can do probably within an hour a day. Anything beyond that? Just dessert. Can you hear my neighbor? I have this teenage virtuoso next door who goes to a conservatory, and I honestly cringed when he played for the first 8 months, and there's something happened when I went to Taipei and came back. I don't know if he got a different set of music to practice, but I really enjoyed him the past 2 days. It was before the 10, 12 hours a day that he played. I was like, okay, could you stop now? But I think it might be the kind of music. It's much lighter stuff. Anyway, if you hear that in the background, that is not my music. That is just the really talented gentleman. And I always thought he was really talented. It's just the kind of music he was playing was very, like very intense. No, it didn't sound like a dog. It sounded like a piano, but it was very, very intense. Anyway, so if you ever hear that in the background, that is my neighbor. I'm pointing to my neighbor. Yeah, and so thank you, neighbor. If you ever stumble across this video, thank you for the accompanying music accompaniment. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to come back in exactly an hour and tell you the 3 things that I have settled on that I will do for my language learning for the next 3 weeks. Keeping in mind I have to also work and prepare for the conference, so that affects the time and the ability and the kind of tasks that I can do, because I have to really, really space out how much time I spend online and on mobile phones where my hands and wrists are needed, because I have to weigh out. Here are the factors: time, wrists, and and the conference, which is also a time issue, but it's a special time issue because that after the first initial stages, that is all online, doing the PowerPoint and the video editing. So all of my computer time is going to have to go over to that within the 3 weeks. So I should probably find 3 tasks that are either click and watch and my wrists are not doing anything, or paper-based. So that's a really good thing to note. I hate all of these restrictions more than I can say, but in order to move forward and not stop while my wrists heal, it just sounds ridiculous to me. I have time, I have desire, and motivation and ability, and I have language around me, and I refuse to stop. So I just have to keep all of these really annoying life factors in line, and I have to fix my selfie wrists, because this is thoroughly embarrassing. As a 45-year-old woman to develop carpal tunnel because of an obsessive use of mobile phones. I said it. I meant it. Be back in a few minutes. Oh, no. For you, I'll be back in 1 second, telling you what the 3 things I decided on. For me, I'll be back in an hour. More soon. Stephanie. Okay, so the hour has passed, and I made a list of 3 things, and then I increased it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Shoot. That's tricky. Okay, so far what I have is that Renee song that Renee Chen, that I really like, that I was slowly working on weeks and weeks ago, that went away in August. I want to bring that back. I want to bring music with opinion and characters back into my life. So I need to be able to print those lyrics with the opinion and the characters, and I need to be able to print that, and then I just want to sing it in the morning when I wake up. I want to sing the song looking at the characters. So that is one that's definitely staying. So that's number 1. Number 2, so that's reading and pronunciation, albeit it's via a song, but since I sing through my life anyway, a song's great. 2 is the Read Rapid Literacy book. Let me show you what I was looking at. I'm going to need to get a little glary with the glasses here. Actually, it's a little dark. Let me turn on the lights. Can't for the life of me figure out why it's so dark at 11 o'clock in the morning, but it is. So I'm going to be very specific with the things I'm going to do with this book. Again, I'm not going to be able to attack it in any big way until after the conference in 2.5 weeks. So, but I did notice on the side of a lot of the pages there are common characters and the English meaning. Now, does he have the opinion? No. Shoot. Okay, there is a flaw to it. But I can... See, I'm trying to think of things that don't involve my wrists and that I can do offline. So I was thinking I could just get familiar with these and literally just take maybe 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, to just flip through and look at these words. And as I'm looking at stuff around me, I'm reading things around me, I think I'll see a fair number of these, so I'll start to recognize them. So again, just to have some more noticing opportunities with actual words, not just radicals. So just flip through and look at the vocabulary section of that. I'm not going to attack the really clear grammar that's in here or any of the word structures, unless I stumble across something, later. But I want to have a very clear idea of a few things to do every day, and flipping through vocab and looking for words that either are really clean and easy for me to identify, or ones that I've seen before, and just kind of get some noticing with full words and phrases. That sounds pretty doable for 10 to 15 minutes a day, probably even 10. Just flip through like 4 or 5 pages, maybe even highlight or circle some, or I don't know, but just spend a little bit of time on those words. Since they're super high frequency words, that will have a high return on motivation for me. And there'll be bigger chunks, not just the base meaning of a word. I just did, as far as Sensible Chinese, the course I'm doing online, which I still really love, even when he's going, because it's a beginner course, and he's doing a lot of things that you need to know for beginners, and even so, there's a lot of stuff that I either have forgotten or that I never knew. For example, I just went through, which one did I do? Because it goes through welcome, frequently asked questions, knowledge section, which is the introduction, strokes and stroke order, and then components. And I just did components. And I've been spending most of my time with the radicals and components, and now I know kind of the difference. Did you know that for each character there's only one radical? Even though I have the Kanso radical list, which there are 214 of them. If you have two of those in one character, only one of them's called a radical and one's called a character. And he gave an example of a dictionary, like for how in ni hao, it's the female radical, and then the other thing is called a component, even though it's also a radical in the radical list, because you can only have one radical. So you would look up in a Chinese dictionary, in a paper dictionary, if you were to use such a thing, you would look it up by the radical. In this case, it'd be the female radical, and then you'd do how many strokes in the other components. So that's why there's only one radical. I did not know that. I thought if there were two, well, of course there'd be two radicals, because every character is based on radicals. I guess that makes sense, but there's only one radical per character, and I have been saying that very, very, very wrongly for a very long time. But so it's little nuggets like that, even in the videos that go over a lot of things that I already know. He talks about a lot of resources I've already seen and either are using or have used or liked or disliked or tried and didn't want to use again. It doesn't matter. He's covering stuff that's really, really interesting. However, trying to do an entire section in one day is too much. Not because it's too much and it's overwhelming, it's too much because my mind starts to be stimulated, and I need time between these nuggets of gold in order to absorb it and remember it, and not just push through to finish the course. My goal is not just to finish the course, because there's, what are there? Maybe 20 different sections. My goal is to do the course well. My goal is to get as much as I can from it. So I think on a given day, I can do 3 of the videos within one of the courses. And then, see, part of me wants to get to the bottom of the course, and then he's got, after all of the courses within that category, it says mark complete. And I want to have a checklist kind of personality, wants to get to the bottom of the page and mark complete. But my one foot in front of the other side wants to go slower and wants to do 1, 2, 3 videos a day and really absorb the content and really take to heart the tips that he's giving. Because right now it's a lot of review material, but really, really soon we're going to start going over his tips on how to learn the vocab in a more productive way. And he brings in the phonemic components, which I do not thoroughly or even remotely understand. I know they exist, but I don't understand them. And when I get to that, I don't want to rush through that, because that's a huge, huge leap of progress when that hits and when I get that. So I think 3 maximum a day. So let's say 1 to 3 videos a day, depending on how mind-blowing the videos are. So there's that. So that's 2, 3. That's 3 things already. And I was trying to move my wrists as I was listening to the videos before we got to the mind-blowing part. And I just got this flash that I wanted to look up a Tai Chi video to see how awkwardly I could try to start learning Tai Chi, because I think that would be good not just for my wrist, but just for movement's sake, especially during the high pollution days when I'm stuck inside, or the high temperature days in summer when I'm stuck inside. It's an inside movement that's much more appealing to me than yoga, which really bores the heck out of me. So I was wondering if I could find a Tai Chi instruction video where they're talking to the audience and they're counting, or whatever you do in Tai Chi, or telling you how to move your hands. If I could find that, and that didn't look like Tai Chi at all, that looked more like dancing. But anyway, if I could find that in Chinese, that way I could have the language input and the movement at the same time. However, I'm not supposed to be searching online very much right now. So if you know of a good YouTube or Vimeo or UQ series, even if it's one video, I can play the same video and do the same exercise and have the same input over and over and over. If you know of like Tai Chi for Beginners video where there's language happening, where they're describing the movements and how to do it, and I don't even care what the information is that they're saying, as long as there's talking. If you know of any of this, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd like to add that in there, because that would help with these guys, and it'll also help with my input. So, so there's that. So I had that flash. So that's an unofficial 4th one. And then Kyle on Sensible Chinese keeps talking about a memorize, M-E-M-R-I-S-E, radical deck. a radical course that's free. And I don't know. I don't want to do too much because I've got all this other stuff going on. So if I add that on as the 5th thing, that's a lot of things to do in one day. So I have a question mark next to that one. Like, I might check it out at some point or add it in after the conference. Am I all radicaled out? Kind of. But do I still need to keep refreshing what I know and learn the rest of them? Absolutely. Is that easier than finishing my Anki deck, which I can't do right now? Yes. These are all the questions going on in my head. So that's a question mark one. Maybe that's an if time one. But if I have stuff that's if time, I'll feel like I need to do it. And if I don't do it, I'll feel guilty. That gym guilt that comes over into language learning guilt will rear its ugly head, and I don't want guilt. I want to feel like I've accomplished things. So if I have to narrow this down to 3 things I can do every day. The Renee song, because I like music, I love music. And I have the opinion already. I have it. I just need to print it out so I can not be staring at a screen and not have to click 6 times to get to it. Okay, fine. There's that. The Sensible Chinese course, which I really enjoy. 1 to 3 videos a day. Let's just say 1 to 2 videos a day. Let's just go slow. There's no reason to rush this. Looking at the vocabulary in the Rapid Chinese Literacy book. Great. So those are the 3. Tai Chi and Memorize are the unofficial 4 and 5. It's hard to narrow this down, but I'm going to keep this list near me because I do find that when my to-do list is visible, I tend to do things more often than not. This seems so basic, right? But it's amazing. It's amazing what happens when you don't make lists like this and when you don't update your goals. For me, when my goals get hidden either in emails or in lists somewhere under something, I definitely don't do them. When they're on a really obnoxious post-it on my paper calendar or somewhere like around the apartment, I can't not do those things. So there's that. Again, if you know of a Tai Chi video, please leave it in the comment sections below. I honestly don't think it'd be advantageous for me to search online right now given my everything else, just everything else. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I will try to do more weekly updates now. I've put it into the channel calendar to remind myself to update you on what I'm doing week by week. But I do hope that these 3 to 5 things are things I can do on a daily basis, most days, if not every day of the week, until the conference is over. And then the time that I put into the conference will shift over into language learning, and then I'll be on vacation in Europe. And then when I'm all tuckered out exploring there, watch the vacation smile just ran across my face, right? When I'm on vacation there and I'm all tuckered out at night, I'll come home and study Chinese, even though I'm in Spanish. Oh, great. Even though I'm in Spain, or even though I'm in Budapest, or anywhere else that we end up in Germany and whatnot. And I'm just so excited about this vacation. You have no idea. But I'm still going to keep studying because I don't sleep well unless I mentally exhaust myself. So I have an excuse to keep studying. And hopefully by then I can get back online in a more careful form, but in a more frequent form where I'm not really restricted to like an hour or 2 a day. All right, thank you so much for watching. This was an excessively long update video, but it was something that needed to happen. I needed a reset, and I'm so excited that you're along for this ride and that you listen to these ramblings. So hold me to it. 3 to 5 things, or 3 and 2. 3 definitely a day. 2, just if time. All right, thank you. 再见.